For 2 weeks before our 10th anniversary, Marcus kept saying, "I've planned something that'll change everything." That morning, I woke up to find the house silent. No kids. No note. No husband. By noon my daughter's TikTok showed them at a Maldives resort. Her caption: "Dad said Mom's always too stressed for real adventures anyway." I didn't call. I didn't text. 4 hours later, my phone exploded with notifications. 73 missed calls from Marcus. Every single message begging me to pick up. I smiled as I watched his panic unfold in real time, exactly 41 minutes after I'd forwarded the Slack screenshots to his board of directors. 41 minutes. That's how long it took for Marcus's startup empire to implode, for his CEO title to be revoked, for his Series C funding to freeze. My 10th anniversary gift to myself. Strategic justice. But let me rewind. Let me show you how a tech wife became a tech widow in less than 72 hours. Marcus Anderson, 39 years old, CEO of TechFlow Solutions, the darling of Silicon Valley's venture capital scene. We'd met at Stanford, fallen in love over late-night coding sessions and dreams of changing the world. I'd been a rising star at a top marketing agency when Olivia was born 14 years ago. Marcus convinced me to step back, manage our home, let him build the empire we'd share. 3 kids later, his startup was worth $200 million on paper. My career was a distant memory. The anniversary promise started 2 weeks ago over breakfast. Marcus had been distracted lately, more late nights at the office, more weekend strategy sessions, but that morning he seemed energized. "Sophia," he'd said, kissing the top of my head while I packed lunches for the twins. "Our 10th anniversary is huge. I've been planning something that'll change everything for us." I'd looked up from Ryan's peanut butter sandwich, hopeful. Change sounded good. We'd been coasting for months, maybe years. "What kind of change?" I'd asked. He'd grinned that boyish smile I'd fallen for at 22. "You'll see. Just trust me. It's going to blow your mind." For 2 weeks, I'd let myself imagine. Maybe a renewal of vows. Maybe that trip to Italy we'd always talked about. Maybe he'd finally noticed how I'd been drowning in carpools and grocery runs while he collected term sheets and pitch deck victories. The night before our anniversary, he'd been affectionate in a way he hadn't been in months. He'd brought home my favorite Thai takeout, opened a bottle of wine we'd been saving, told the kids to let me sleep in. "Tomorrow's Mom and Dad's special day," he'd announced at dinner. Olivia had rolled her eyes, but the twins had seemed excited. I'd fallen asleep against his shoulder, watching a movie, thinking maybe we'd find our way back to each other. The silence that morning was what woke me. No sounds of Ryan and Ethan fighting over the Xbox. No Olivia's music bleeding through the walls. No smell of Marcus's espresso, the one he always made before his morning run. I rolled over. His side of the bed was cold. He'd been gone for hours. "Marcus?" I called out, my voice echoing through our 4-bedroom Palo Alto rental. "Nothing." I grabbed my robe and walked down the hallway. The twins' room was eerily pristine. Beds made, unusual for 10-year-old boys. Olivia's door was cracked open. Her room was empty, her favorite sneakers gone from the floor where she always left them. My heart started pounding as I hurried downstairs. The kitchen was spotless, untouched. The anniversary breakfast Marcus had promised, nowhere. I noticed details I'd missed in my sleep-fogged state. 3 toothbrushes missing from the bathroom. Suitcases gone from the hall closet. The good luggage, the to-me set Marcus had splurged on last year. I sank onto our sectional couch, surrounded by family photos that suddenly felt like lies. Last year's anniversary dinner, all of us dressed up at that expensive Napa restaurant, Olivia's 8th grade graduation, the twins at their soccer tournament, everyone smiling like we meant it. My phone was where I'd left it on the nightstand. When I retrieved it, I found birthday wishes from college friends, an email from my mother asking about anniversary plans, nothing from Marcus. Nothing from my children. I texted him, "Where are you guys?" Delivered. No response. I tried Olivia next. "Honey, please tell me what's happening." Read. The blue checkmark appeared, then disappeared. She'd seen it and chosen silence. Even sweet Ryan, my sensitive child who still hugged me goodbye at school drop-off, left me on read. That's when I opened TikTok. Olivia lived on the platform, posting 3 times a day minimum. Her latest video loaded, and the ground shifted beneath me. There they were. Marcus, Olivia, Ryan, and Ethan on a pristine white beach, turquoise water stretching endlessly behind them. Overwater bungalows visible in the frame. The caption gut-punched me. Surprise vacay with the best dad ever. He gets it. Mom's always too stressed for real adventures anyway. Number Maldives, number luxury life, number family time. I watched the video 3 times. Marcus lifting the twins onto his shoulders in the crystal clear water. Olivia recording herself trying resort breakfast, the buffet sprawling behind her. Another clip showed them checking into what looked like a $3,000 night villa. My family, celebrating halfway around the world, on our anniversary, without me. The comments were flowing in. Your dad is so cool. Living your best life. Why isn't your mom there? Olivia had responded to that one. She's busy with her things. Dad wanted quality time with us. I scrolled through her other recent posts. A photo from the airport 4 days ago, the 4 of them boarding a flight. All posted while I'd been asleep or running errands, too busy managing their lives to notice them leaving mine. Marcus's Instagram was more restrained. But there it was. A sunset photo from 2 days ago, tagged Maldives, with the caption making memories with the people who matter most. The people who matter most. Not including me. For an hour I sat frozen on my couch, phone in hand, trying to understand. Had I missed something? Had we fought? Had I been so consumed with household management that I'd become invisible? I thought about the past few weeks. Marcus's phone calls that ended when I entered a room. His new habit of working from the spare bedroom instead of his home office. The way he'd started criticizing small things, my comfortable clothes. My decision to let my highlighted hair grow out naturally. My lack of ambition to return to work. Around 11, I walked into Marcus's home office, looking for any explanation. His desk drawers were locked, but I knew where he kept the spare key, taped under his keyboard tray. Assuming I'd never look. Inside, I found what he'd been hiding. Printed expense reports from TechFlow's corporate account. Resort reservations for 4 people, booked 6 weeks ago. Flight confirmations showing business class tickets purchased with company funds, and receipts for jewelry I'd never received. Cartier Tiffany charges dating back months. Among the papers was something worse. A printed Slack thread, probably accidentally included in a batch of documents. The conversation was between Marcus and someone named Jenna Park. Our COO, 28 years old, brilliant engineer, always in his inner circle. The messages were time-stamped from 2 weeks ago. Can't believe we pulled off Maldives, Jenna had written. 4 days until paradise. Kids are the perfect cover story. Marcus's response made my blood run cold. Sophia has no clue. Told her I was planning an anniversary surprise. Technically true. Just not the surprise she's expecting. I kept reading, my hands shaking. What about when she finds out? Jenna had asked. Marcus's reply. Find out what? That I took a business trip with my COO and happened to bring my kids. Sophia stopped paying attention to company business years ago. She's too busy with her book clubs and Whole Foods runs to notice anything. More messages followed. Their relationship had been going on for 7 months. Thursday night strategy sessions that weren't about strategy. Weekend investor meetings that included couples spa appointments. He'd been using company funds to wine and dine her while I'd been clipping coupons and shopping sales. But the Slack messages revealed something more calculated. This trip wasn't just an affair. It was a test run. If this works, Marcus had written, if we can pull off a week together and Sophia doesn't cause problems, we'll know we can make the transition. You'll be promoted to president, we'll reorganize the equity structure, and by Q4 we can make it official. Jenna's response included a champagne emoji. To new partnerships, both professional and personal. I stared at the screen, something cold and focused replacing the initial shock. Marcus had been sloppy. Maybe he'd gotten too confident, too convinced I was just the boring wife who'd faded into the background. But he'd forgotten something crucial. I'd helped him build TechFlow from the ground up. I'd been there when he incorporated, when he filed for his first patent, when he signed the documents that brought in venture capital funding. I knew every investor, every board member, every clause in his employment agreement. 3 years ago, after a competitor's CEO had been caught in a harassment scandal, TechFlow's board had implemented strict ethics policies. I'd been at the kitchen table when Marcus signed the updated employment contract, joking about the morality clauses and conflict of interest provisions. Don't worry, I told him. You're the most ethical person I know. He'd laughed and signed without reading the fine print. I had read it though. Every word. I pulled out my laptop and navigated to the investor portal I'd helped set up when TechFlow was just a pitch deck and a dream. Marcus had never removed my access. Probably forgot it existed. I logged in using credentials I hadn't touched in years. Everything was there. Expense reports showing romantic dinners billed as client meetings. Hotel charges in the city where we lived. Spa packages for two, categorized as team building. Flight records showing Marcus and Jenna traveling together to conferences I'd never heard about. He'd been funding their affair with investor money earmarked for product development. Then I found the Zoom cloud recordings. Every meeting was automatically saved per company policy. I clicked on Thursday night strategy session from 3 weeks ago. It loaded instantly. The first 30 minutes were legitimate, budget discussions and hiring plans. Then Jenna mentioned something that made me sit up straighter. I can't wait for Maldives, she'd said, leaning into the camera. 4 days with you and the kids. It'll be like practice for when this is real. Marcus had grinned. Olivia's already excited. She thinks Sophia's boring anyway. Typical teenager stuff but useful. And you're sure she won't figure it out? Jenna had asked, twirling her hair. Won't do some jealous wife investigation. Marcus's dismissive laugh cut through me. Sophia? Please? She stopped being curious about my work years ago. She's too busy organizing playdates and planning her book club meetings. She has no idea how to access company systems, doesn't understand half of what we do, and frankly doesn't care as long as the bills get paid. I watched 3 more recordings, documenting conversations about our relationship, jokes at my expense, plans for after their Maldives trip. In one, they discussed his eventual divorce strategy. We'll frame it as growing apart, Marcus had said. She gave up her career to raise the kids. I'll be generous with support, keep things civil for their sake. The narrative writes itself. What neither of them knew was that I'd been documenting everything. Screenshots, downloads, timestamps. By noon, I had a folder on my desktop labeled simply evidence. I sat back and thought about TechFlow's board of directors. 6 members, including 2 women who'd specifically invested because Marcus had pitched TechFlow as a family-friendly company with strong values. I thought about the lead investor, Richard Chen, who'd written into the term sheet that executive conduct reflecting poorly on the company could trigger founder dilution clauses. I thought about the tech reporter who'd been courting Marcus for months, wanting an exclusive on TechFlow's upcoming Series C announcement. My anniversary had arrived with abandonment and betrayal. But Marcus had given me something valuable. Clarity. And a perfect target. Not his heart, he'd already given that away. But his reputation, his company, his carefully constructed image of the ethical founder and family man. I opened my email and began to type. The first message went to Richard Chen and the full board. Subject line: Urgent ethics violation, expense fraud and conflict of interest. I attached the expense reports showing misuse of company funds, screenshots of the Slack conversations, and links to the Zoom recordings with timestamps for the relevant sections. Dear board members, it is with significant concern that I bring to your attention serious violations of TechFlow's ethics policies and employment agreements by CEO Marcus Anderson. The attached evidence documents ongoing misuse of company funds for personal affairs, an undisclosed intimate relationship with COO Jenna Park, and fraudulent expense reporting totaling over $80,000 in company resources. These violations directly contravene Section 4.2 of the Executive Employment Agreement and Section 7 of the company's Ethics and Conduct Policy, both of which require immediate disclosure of conflicts of interest and prohibit personal use of company resources. I've also included evidence of statements made during recorded company meetings that suggest premeditated fraud and manipulation of company operations for personal benefit. As someone who has supported TechFlow from its inception and who values the company's reputation with investors and clients, I felt obligated to bring these matters to your attention. Respectfully, Sophia Anderson. I didn't send it immediately. Timing mattered. I checked the company calendar Marcus had synced to our shared iCloud. Board meeting. Thursday, 10 in the morning. The monthly gathering where all directors convened to review company performance and strategic decisions. Marcus had complained about these meetings for years, calling them old school because Richard insisted everyone silence phones and give full attention to governance matters. I installed an email tracking extension and scheduled the message to send at exactly 9:45, 15 minutes before the meeting started. Then I drafted a second email, this one to the tech reporter who'd been hounding Marcus for an exclusive. Subject line, TechFlow CEO ethics scandal, exclusive. I attached selected evidence and wrote, thought you might be interested in this story about TechFlow Solutions CEO Marcus Anderson systematically defrauding investors and conducting an affair with his COO using company resources while lying to his board and family. All documentation is available and verified. This is happening in real time. I scheduled it to send 30 minutes after the board email, giving them time to react before the story went public. For the next 4 days, while my family enjoyed Maldives on what should have been our anniversary celebration, I prepared. I contacted my former colleague Amanda, who'd become a top divorce attorney in San Francisco. I pulled every financial document I could find. I changed passwords on accounts in my name. I researched founder clauses and equity dilution triggers in VC agreements. When Thursday morning arrived, I woke up at 5:30, had coffee, and sat at my laptop waiting. At 9:45, the emails auto-sent. The tracking notification appeared instantly, email delivered. 9:47, first read receipt from Richard Chen, then another, then 5 more in rapid succession. At 9:53, a notification from TechFlow's HR system. User Marcus. Anderson status. Access suspended. Authorization. Board Executive Committee. I refreshed the company website. Marcus's profile on the leadership page began flickering, then disappeared. At 10:07, an email from Richard Chen himself. Mrs. Anderson, thank you for bringing these matters to our immediate attention. The board has convened an emergency session. Appropriate actions are being taken effective immediately. We appreciate your integrity and discretion. Please do not hesitate to contact my office should you need anything. Richard Chen, lead investor and board chair, TechFlow Solutions. My phone started vibrating. Marcus. I declined. He called again. Again. Text messages started flooding. What the hell is happening? I've been locked out of everything. Sophia. Answer your phone. Right now. Richard just called an emergency meeting and won't tell me why. The messages came faster. They're reviewing expense reports. Sophia, what did you do? This isn't funny. You're going to ruin everything we built. By 11, he'd called 47 times. I silenced my phone but kept it visible, watching his panic escalate. Olivia texted around 11:30. Mom? Dad's freaking out. He says we have to leave immediately. What's going on? The twins sent a joint message from Ryan's phone. Mom? Are you okay? Dad won't tell us what happened but he's really upset. He's making us pack right now. I didn't respond. Not yet. They'd chosen their sides. They could wait in uncertainty while Marcus scrambled. At 12:15, the tech article went live. TechFlow CEO accused of ethics violations, affair with COO, misuse of investor funds. The reporter had worked fast. By 12:30, it was trending on tech Twitter. By 1, other outlets were picking it up. Marcus's messages became desperate. Please, Sophia. Whatever you think happened, we can fix this. Think about the kids. Think about our family. I've been removed as CEO. Do you understand what you've done? Richard won't even take my calls. The lawyers are involved. Siri is frozen. By 3 o'clock he'd called 92 times. His WhatsApp showed 114 unread messages. I spent the afternoon methodically working through my list. I had the locks changed on our rental house. I froze our joint accounts, citing suspicious activity. I met with Amanda, who filed emergency custody paperwork. I packed Marcus's personal belongings into boxes, labeled them simply, and stacked them in the garage. Through Olivia's Instagram stories, I tracked their desperate journey home. A confused selfie at the resort, captioned vacation cut short. A photo of packed suitcases, sudden change of plans. By evening, their location sharing showed them at Malé Airport. Marcus's messages updated me without meaning to. No direct flights. Have to connect through Dubai. Won't be back for 24 hours. Kids keep asking questions I can't answer. Sophia, please. Just pick up the phone. I ignored them all and went to bed early in the master bedroom that was finally, peacefully mine. They arrived home around 8 the next evening. I'd positioned myself on our front porch, a folder of evidence on my lap, dressed in jeans and the Stanford sweatshirt I'd worn when we first met. The Uber pulled up and 4 exhausted figures emerged. Marcus spotted me first. Relief, anger, and fear crossed his face in rapid succession. Olivia and the twins hung back, sensing something had fundamentally changed. "What did you do?" Marcus hissed, approaching the steps. "Do you have any idea what you've destroyed?" "I know exactly what I destroyed," I said calmly. "Your ability to lie without consequences." Olivia stepped forward, her 14-year-old defiance on full display. "Mom, why didn't you answer our calls?" "Dad said there was a family emergency." "There was," I said, opening the folder. "Just not the one he described." I pulled out the first printed screenshot, the Slack conversation about using the kids as cover. Marcus tried to grab it, but not before Olivia caught a glimpse. Her face went pale. "Dad, what is this?" "It's taken out of context," he stammered. "Don't do this in front of them," he pleaded, looking at me. "Why not?" "You did." I turned to my daughter. "Olivia, did your father suggest the wording for that TikTok caption? The one about me being too stressed for real adventures." She looked at her feet. "He said it would be funny. That you'd laugh when you saw it later." Ryan, my sensitive twin, started crying silently. Ethan grabbed his brother's hand. "Can we go inside?" "Of course you can," I said, unlocking the door with my new key. "Your rooms are exactly as you left them. Your father, however, will need to make other arrangements." "You can't lock me out of my own house," Marcus said, his voice rising. "The house that's in my name because my parents co-signed the lease when your credit couldn't support it alone?" I smiled without warmth. "That house?" Olivia hesitated between us, torn. "Sweetheart," I said gently, "none of this is your fault. But you need to know what really happened." I handed her another printout, the expense report showing the jewelry purchased for someone else. "While you were in Maldives, your father's company removed him as CEO for ethics violations. He's been having an affair with his COO and using investor money to fund it. The board found out this morning." Olivia stared at the paper, tears streaming. "That's why we had to leave early?" "That's why you had to leave early," I confirmed. The twins had already disappeared inside. Olivia looked at her father. "You lied to all of us?" Marcus's face hardened. "Your mother is trying to destroy everything I've built because she's jealous and bitter." "Actually," I interrupted, "I'm trying to hold you accountable for fraud." "There's a difference." Olivia walked past me into the house without another word. Left alone with Marcus, I delivered the final blow. "Amanda Davis filed divorce paperwork this afternoon. You'll be served tomorrow. Your personal belongings are in the garage. I suggest you find a hotel. You've destroyed my career," he said quietly. "My reputation. The company. You destroyed those yourself." I corrected. Every Slack message, every fraudulent expense report, every lie to the board. I just hit send. Over the following days, I watched Marcus's world collapse in real time. The board appointed an interim CEO. Jenna Park was terminated immediately. Her stock options voided per the conduct clause in her employment agreement. The Series C funding froze pending investigation. Tech reporters wrote follow-up pieces about founder accountability and board oversight. Marcus's name became a cautionary tale in Silicon Valley circles. But the most significant change happened within our home. Olivia, after reading the full evidence, wrote me a 6-page letter apologizing for her role and asking how to make things right. I suggested she volunteer at a women's shelter, understanding what manipulation and gaslighting looked like in real time. She agreed immediately. The twins, confused but loving, made me Mother's Day cards in January, drawing pictures of our new family of 4. Marcus saw them every other weekend per the custody agreement, but the pedestal they'd placed him on had shattered. I started therapy with Dr. Sarah Kim, who specialized in helping women rebuild identity after long-term relationships. Our weekly sessions became sacred time where I processed 17 years of gradually shrinking myself. I rediscovered passions I'd abandoned. I joined a marketing professionals group and started consulting part-time, testing the waters of my career. I reconnected with college friends who confessed Marcus had gradually frozen them out with excuses about my availability. 6 weeks after my ruined anniversary, Richard Chen called with an unexpected proposition. "The board has been discussing TechFlow's future," he said. We need someone who understands the company's values and can rebuild trust with stakeholders. Someone with marketing expertise and unquestionable integrity. Interested? I started as an advisor, then consultant, then VP of marketing. The irony of rebuilding the company Marcus had nearly destroyed wasn't lost on me. But walking into TechFlow headquarters as Sophia Anderson, executive, instead of Marcus Anderson's wife, felt like reclaiming something essential. 8 months after my anniversary, I stood in our living room, now definitively mine after the divorce settlement. Olivia had just gotten home from her shelter volunteer shift. The twins were building something elaborate with Legos. My phone buzzed with a work email, a client wanting to schedule a strategy session. This wasn't the life I'd planned when I said yes to Marcus at 24. The journey here had been excruciating. But as I looked at my children, seeing me as a complete person rather than just their mother, as I thought about the career I was rebuilding and the self I was rediscovering, I realized something profound. Marcus had promised that our 10th anniversary would change everything. He'd been right. Just not in the way he'd imagined. His betrayal had shattered the comfortable illusions I'd lived within, forced me to remember who I was before I'd become someone's wife. And in the wreckage of what we'd built together, I'd found something more valuable than any anniversary gift. Myself. My daughter came over and hugged me from behind. "Mom, I'm proud of you," she whispered. I squeezed her hand, looking at our reflection in the window. A family, smaller but stronger. "I'm proud of us," I told her. And I meant it.